now I know both sides. I know the sell side and I know the buy side. And so now I can really figure out how to be noble and actually
Mhm.
make a good, fair deal. And I also understand now how PE thinks, where they're really not trying to make a fair deal. My buddy Nick Bradley, he says you're either going to be the prey or the
Right.
prize. And most people are the prey.
Nick, thanks for coming on, dude. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, man.
You're a real legend in the community here in Upper Echelon and Protege. So it's really exciting to have you come on to talk a little bit about your journey and what you're working on today.
Yeah, appreciate it, dude.
Mhm.
Thanks for having me on. Both of you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So take us back a little bit. I know you're Florida born and raised, and you're in Boca Raton. But walk us through a little bit. I know you had insurance career and had some exits. Uh, Bring us up to where you are today. A quick version.
Yeah, I'll go back a little bit before that. I played golf out of college, and I played professional golf
Hmm.
actually. So that was fun. I got to travel the world and see a lot of cool stuff. And I was on a couple tours. I was on the South American tour. I played on what was called the Nationwide Tour at the time. Got pretty close to getting to where I wanted to be, just not quite. I had an injury. As good as I was. These guys that you see out there, it's just
The
that much
best in the
better,
world.
right?
I
It's
know.
it's
Yeah.
it's wild how good they are, and I could compete on any given day, but to compete day in and day out with these guys is just um, it's tough, right?
Mhm.
And I got to a point when I had to take a break due to an injury that I just realized I didn't want to go back. I was on the road 32, 34 weeks a
Wow.
year, grinding it out, on my own by myself. And dude, honestly, I was tired of being broke. I was tired of it because it's not a
Yeah.
glamorous life. It's if you're one of the top guys in the world, it's super glamorous, right? And now obviously with live golf and all the stuff, it's more, but at the time, this is 10, 12, more than that, 14 years ago, whatever it was. It wasn't very
Mhm.
glamorous. So um I stopped that, and during that time I was always figure little things out, little businesses here or there. And after I decided to call it quits, got into business pretty heavy, started a marketing firm, was able to exit that to a competitor, and then found some other little things here or there, and then really found insurance, which was really good. I built a really nice insurance company. I had about 7,000 agents across the country at one point. So it got pretty large, and I combined that with another marketing agency, more of like a lead gen company that really helped the agents and was part of the insurance
Mhm.
world at that time. And then I was able to exit both of those to large PE. And from there, I really started to, understand and see what the formula is, right? The formula really is buy. A lot of people want to start companies, and I realize I'm never starting a company again. It's time to just buy companies. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So if you look at these big companies, if you look at Amazon, if you look at any big company, what do? They have the resources, they have everything they need to go ahead and start a company of any sort.
Mhm.
They have the people, but they don't do that. They
Mhm.
just buy them, and because they already have the data, they already have the customers, they already have everything they need in place, so they just buy them. And so that's really the formula. If you look at big PE, that's what they do. You look at family offices, that's what they do. So you look at what the big players in the world are doing, they're all doing the same thing. They're all buying, right? So that's kind of the world I started going down, was buying companies. I had already bought and merged a few companies within my insurance agency and some other stuff I have done. So I kind of knew the process for the
Mhm.
most part, right? There was a couple things that I was missing, couple things that I needed some help on, just like anyone else. Um, and so I really went down that path. And now it's led me now to not only buying a bunch of companies, owning companies, helping other people do the same thing. It's led me down now, I was telling you earlier, raising capital, a lot of it. I'm in about a $450 million raise right now total, for two funds that I'm now managing. So I mean, there's just it's pretty fun. It's been a wild ride, and I'm enjoying it, honestly.
I love that. Yeah, it sounds almost like and there was a common thread there is that marketing piece that you started with. I didn't know you started with that before the insurance, but it sounds like that's been a pretty common thread for you between all of them and even agencies today. Talk to me a little bit about like that as like a horizontal skill, or how you've like used that or kind of hone that craft.
Well, I mean, you know this, right? And everyone knows this. In business, if you can actually have If you can acquire customers, you can win, because you need customers no matter what you're doing to actually make money. So if you can find a way to control that piece, if you can find a way to control the marketing side and drive customers into your business, you're always going to have some level of success. Now, you might need to hire someone and outsource to get bigger or to do more. But if you can control it to a point, you're going to always have customers and clients, which means you're always going to have
Mhm.
revenue, which means you're always going to have the opportunity to grow. So I've always felt that it's super important to learn how to acquire customers through marketing, through social media, through ads, through traffic, through whatever source of marketing you can think of. I think it's one of the most important things you can
Mhm.
do in business. And I think that's why I've been somewhat successful in certain areas. And I see other people doing the same thing. And everyone that does something similar, they have success too. I look at, again, if I go back to even PE, all these PE firms, what they do, let's say they have one niche. Let's say you're working in home services, right? Well, they buy these home service companies, but then they'll also couple that with a
Mhm.
marketing company. They'll buy a marketing firm, and then they'll take that marketing firm and they'll centralize it. They'll centralize HR, centralize payroll, central marketing, to where now they can control a lot of the marketing from their
Mhm.
own company, and they can grow all their businesses with that marketing firm. So it's just a formula that seems to work. I kind of understood that early on at a smaller level, and so I keep seeing it over and over. So that's why I think it's so important. You know,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would even take it two steps further. One step is on the operations side is people, especially today, talk about how they can't find good people to work.
right?
But really, if we look at it at the end of the day, it's a marketing problem,
Yeah,
right? It's a sales and marketing problem.
right,
You're not marketing that job position out to enough people,
right.
and you're not selling them on that position to come in.
Yeah,
So that's a marketing problem too.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think the biggest problem with that, dude, is so many people get lazy when it
Mhm.
comes to hiring, and they use these
Mhm.
recruiting firms. Well, these recruiting firms are paid to get people placed. They don't really care
Right.
who they're placing. They're paid to get people placed. So they're going to place anyone they can in your position, and they're not really going to care about your company the way you care
Mhm.
about your company. So doing your those recruiting firms, to me, don't really work. I've
Yeah.
tried them.
Not
I've
something that
tried
important.
multiple. They don't work, dude.
Yeah.
So you're right. Controlling your own marketing on the recruiting side is huge.
Mhm. And then the next step is marketing in the acquisitions world, because unless you want to be sifting through the broker deals, how do you source those off market deals? That's marketing too, right? It's sending letters, it's sending emails, cold calls, whatever it is. That's a function of marketing as
Yeah.
well, to find the deals.
No doubt. It's funny. I don't know if I told you this. I don't think I did, but that was one of my biggest issues, right? And so I actually took two guys
Mhm.
that I used to work with, um, and I said, "Hey, I need you to solve this issue for me," and they did. And so now we're
Mhm.
doing that for other people too, and we're doing that for some family offices as well. It's called Deal Connects, and so we're literally able to create off-market deal flow and put people in touch directly with possible
Mhm.
sellers of and business owners that are looking to sell their company. So it's 100%, dude. It's I think the most important facet of most businesses.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a spot that they tend to be weak, because a lot of times, they might be a good operator, they know their product well, but if you can't get anyone to buy it, then it doesn't matter.
Right. Absolutely. No doubt.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit more about that Deal Connect. I saw you mentioned something about that in the group, in one of the messages. Talk to me, like, what's some of the stuff that you guys are doing that you're seeing work, and like what's your approach for that? Is it like custom tailored for each person, each industry, each niche? Like, how do you guys approach it?
Yeah, it's extremely custom tailored. It's We literally sit down with the person, we figure out exactly what they're looking for. All the messaging is very tailored, it's
Mhm.
very detailed. What we've been able to do is understand the psychology of these business owners, and what they're looking for, if they're even trying to sell, or how to spark their mind and go, "Oh yeah, I was thinking about
Mhm.
selling." And then finding the right wording, language, copy, and ad structure to get them to actually fill something out, and then asking the right questions while they're filling it out, so we know what we're actually working with. So
Mhm.
we've done a lot of testing, we spent a lot of money on that, but what makes us really special about it is, um, we can go out there and use algorithms with some of these platforms that we're just kind of casting a net and seeing what comes back. Well, we're not doing that. What we actually do is we have a very extensive and a very expensive data set, a data list
Mhm.
that basically is every single business in the.
Did you purchase that list, or did you guys source that on your own?
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, it's purchased from someone that I know that is really in that
Mhm.
data world. And what it has is not only all the officer information, contact information, a lot of employee information, but also has top line, bottom line revenue. Those figures aren't exact, but
Mhm.
somewhat how long business. It has, I think, about 70 or 80 pieces of data
Hmm.
on each company. So I mean, these files are like gigabytes upon gigabytes, that take
Yeah.
forever. What we do is we take those, and they all have NIAT codes, because every company has a NIAT code, and we filter them down by their NIAT code. So let's say it's HVAC. We'll filter every HVAC company, let's say in Florida,
Hmm.
that's out there. Let's say there's 6,000. We'll take all 6,000. We can narrow those down if we want. We generally keep those 6,000 in, and then
Hmm.
what we do is we tailor the ads to them. So then when we're actually out there marketing, we're not wasting ad spend. So the only people that are seeing the ads are the people that are on that list
Yeah.
or their employees. But mostly it's going
Mm.
to be the owners,
Yeah.
99% of the time.
Is that like a custom audience that you're using, or?
Yeah, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah, basically. But I mean, it depends on,
Right.
are we using Google? Are we using Facebook, WhatsApp,
Mhm.
YouTube, email campaigns? We're doing all of it. We're using all of it. Where they come from, it doesn't matter. And then once they see the ad and they
Mhm.
actually click on it, then there's a set of questions, very tailored questions, and not a lot of them. We don't bombard them. But one of the best questions we ask is something
Yeah.
about how interested are they really, in selling their company, because we want to know. And are they just filling this out because they're just
Yeah.
curious, or are they actually really interested, right? And the great thing is because of where the economy is, who we're targeting, especially in certain industries, the people that we're doing this for are having amazing conversations, and they're getting deals. Again, we work with a lot of family offices and a few PE companies right now.
Mhm.
And then for them, we take it a step further too. We also work with individuals like yourselves. But for the bigger companies, we'll take it a step further. And what we'll actually do is we have an offshore team, that actually will call the lead, make sure that it's qualified properly before we send it over to, the actual firm. So they're not getting, a lead that might be too small for them or might not fit their.
Yeah. Do you guys set the appointments for them too, or you just qualify the lead?
We set the appointment for them as well.
Okay. So they just have to take an appointment basically, and it's done for you.
That's it. Yeah, that's all
Mhm.
they want, man. They have the budget to go ahead and spend more, and they don't want to waste their time with,
Yeah.
bad conversations where like a, regular entrepreneur looking to acquire, they can have those conversations. They generally have
Mhm.
more time. It also gives them a lot of, experience
Yeah.
to have those conversations, and you also never know if it might be a good bolt on
Right.
later on. So
Yeah, and I also find that one of the benefits of the appointment setter is like it elevates you a little bit when you take that second appointment. That like you're not on the front line; you have someone who's doing that, and it kind of adds some like authority or credibility.
yeah, layer.
Like, yeah, you're like the senior guy who has appointments set for him. Because that's how we do it now. We have a setter, and Jaron takes a lot of those appointments, and then it elevates you another level.
Yeah, no, it's been really good.
Hmm.
I'd love to
Yeah,
hear more about the acquisitions that
you,
the exits that you did before we kind of get to more of the acquisitions. So you exited a couple companies early on to
mhm.
PE. Can you give us a little bit of more information on that, on kind of the journey leading up to that?
Yeah, you kind of just rolled over like a 5 7 year journey pretty
Yeah,
quick, but it was a pretty big exit and growth trajectory you had. Keeping it subtle.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was great, right? It was a great thing for me at the time. It happened pretty quick because we grew so fast. So it was something I was pretty proud of and excited about. Um, there's some mistakes I made that I didn't realize, because you don't know what you don't know at the time. Where if I knew things now, it would have been a very different, story. Probably would have been even a bigger payday than it was, and different structure and things like that. So you learn from all that. But the exit was great. It's to a very large $25 billion private equity firm, maybe more now. I don't know. They have a lot of big backing themselves. It was about a 6 7 month process by the time we first submitted, a an NDA. Within a month or so, we had a term sheet, an LOI signed. It was another 4 or 5 months of due diligence, and it was an extenuous process, but it was good. It was also a good
Mhm.
process. It was a learning process, good and bad on both sides. All good actually, because you only learn, you don't fail, so you only learn. And it's definitely, opened my eyes to a different world, a world that I already knew. I understood the PE world. I know a lot of people that were in it. But when you actually finally go through a
Mhm.
transaction, it really opens your eyes. And so then I have the ability, and I think this is something that's very valuable for me personally, is not only because I buy companies
Right.
now I know both sides. I know the sell side and I know the buy side. And so now I can really figure out how to be noble and
Hmm.
actually make a good, fair deal. And I also understand now how PE thinks, where they're really not trying to make a fair deal. You know, my buddy Nick Bradley, he says you're either going to be the prey or the
Right.
prize. And most people are the prey, right? And they're either going to screw you on their terms and they're going to renege it at the very end, or they're going to screw you afterwards and change the way structures are
Hmm.
done, right? And that's what PE does. Is what they do. That's what they're supposed to do.
Hmm.
That's what they're
Yeah, they're
trained to do.
professionals, right?
Yeah, that's what they're trained to do. And you don't know that if you're not in that world or
Hmm.
if you're not around the right people. Um, I now know that. I get it from all sides, right? So it was great. It was a great exit. It's helped me and my family tremendously in a lot of ways. And nothing bad to say about it. Only good.
Wow. Well, with hindsight being 2020, if you could go back and do it again, now knowing what you know, what would you
Yeah.
do differently?
Yeah, I would have structured my deal differently. I would have negotiated a little bit differently. I would have had financials in order even more. I had really good financials, but I would have had them in order even more. I would have prepped a little bit more leading up to the exit as far as like before I gave them everything. But I would have definitely structured my deals differently. Like, my structure had a large piece of a upfront payment. It had a piece of a earnout
Hmm.
over X amount of years, and I structured my earnout. I negotiated my earnout where if I hit X, I would get Y, and if I hit Y, I would get even more. Right. So I structured that a certain way, and then it came with a lot of stock options. So I'm a stock owner in that firm
Hmm.
that will hopefully one day go public. So and that's really why I did the deal, was for that reason. So I would have structured things a little bit differently on my earnout. I would have probably structured things a little bit differently on my, or negotiated differently on the actual structure of the deal itself in some facets. But again, it was all good, right? There's no complaints. It's a good thing. I just, knowing what I know now, knowing how they think, I would have changed things up a little bit. And I'm helping people with that right now. I have a couple people that are looking to exit and going through that, and I'm helping them. I'm kind of coaching them and consulting for them to really maximize their exit. So it's pretty cool.
You're the deal doula, as they call it.
The what?
The deal
The
doula.
deal doula.
Yeah. The guide.
I like that.
Did you connect with Nick Bradley kind of post the acquisition? You mentioned him as a friend before.
Post, yeah, Post. I wish I knew him prior. Wish I knew him prior, and I've been able to build a good relationship. He's a great guy. He's awesome.
Yeah, we've spoken to him a little bit on
Mhm.
potentially using him as a coach down the line, but
Yeah, I
so
think,
yeah,
dude. I think his knowledge is power. Especially in that world. I mean, he was there.
Mhm.
I love what he's doing. He was on that side of buying the companies and doing everything he can to screw over those business owners in some facet. And now he's on the other side going, I know exactly what these guys are
Mhm.
thinking, how they work, what they want, what they don't want. And he's a wealth of knowledge.
Mhm. Yeah, it's invaluable to have, especially for like a bigger deal
Right.
where the stakes are high. To
Right.
have that is super critical.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's worth it. That's for sure.
Mhm. So yeah, we talked a little bit maybe about the exits you've had. Let's talk a little bit today about some of the stuff you're working on. I know you said you got accounting firms you're working on. You got some funds you're raising for. You got a bunch of stuff going on, man. Tell us about what you have.
Yeah, man, I got a bunch of stuff. So I definitely doing a roll up in the accounting space with a partner of mine. We're excited about that. It's a super cool space. We're able to acquire these companies at a ridiculous margin already, 40-45% margin right when we buy them. And we can get them to 55-60% margins, and it's a
Mhm.
business that's never going anywhere. IRS just hired, what, 20,000 more people or something.
Yeah.
It's not never going to be a flat tax. I mean, it's a great business. It's recession proof. Everyone needs it, which I love, right? My insurance company, I realized everyone needs insurance. I have a
Mhm.
product that I don't care how old you are, young you are, what your color is, how tall you are, how skinny you are, whatever, you need insurance. Well, same
Mhm.
thing with accounting. Everyone's got to do their taxes.
Right.
Businesses, personal. We focus more on businesses, but we also obviously do individual returns too. But it's a great business. We're excited about it. I think there's a lot of opportunity with the right companies. It poses its own challenges, just like any other business. Dealing with accountants and CPAs is a little different than dealing with business people. It's a different mindset, different type of person. Not in a good or bad way, just different. And so it poses its challenges that I'm learning and we're getting through, and we're trying to figure out. And, we're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. We're centralizing the HR, we're centralizing the payroll, we're going to be centralizing marketing as we continue to grow. We're
Mhm.
looking to buy probably 6 to 7 more this year just in that space. So what's really cool is we have a little bit of a leg up on the market, as far as other people coming in, where right now we're really just paying cash
Mhm.
for these companies. And we're doing that one, not that I love to do that, but we're doing it because we can scoop them up for a little bit cheaper,
Yeah.
faster. And when someone's coming in with an SBA loan and we come in with cash, we're able to grab them a little faster. So it's giving us a little leg up at the moment. How long we're going to do that, I don't know. But it's worked so far, and the sellers respect it and like it, for the most part, especially their accountants. They know how to take that tax
Mhm.
and lower their tax bill as much as possible from that big upfront money.
Right.
So it's been good. Yeah, it's been fun. Looking forward to doing more
Do you guys have like a sponsor or someone doing that, or you guys just have between the partners you have the cash to cover?
between the partners. Yeah,
Okay, nice. Yeah, that's a good perk.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's been good.
Interesting. Now, quick question on the exit side. You mentioned kind of these accountants or the CPAs have some tax strategies to minimize, the capital gains that they might pay with an exit. And based off your
Right.
exits, and I know Carl and some of the groups has brought in trust and wealth management guys like Nexus. Have you looked into any of those strategies that for an exit moving forward would be like a game changer for the capital gains that you would pay?
You talk about for me personally?
For you personally, or the partners, or the entities that you're setting up, or have you learned anything from the CPAs that are doing it?
Yeah, personally, I have trust and a lot of stuff on that side already set up for myself. Um, yeah, asset protection stuff like that it's necessary for sure. I think for us a natural add-on bolt-on acquisition is going to be a wealth management firm at some point, whenever that point comes. Possibly trust and estates. One of our firms actually does some trust and estates right now, very few, but does some. Another one would be some insurance at some point. I can't do that right now. I have a non-compete, so we don't even go there. But once that knocks up, I can at least service the clients we already have with some insurance, or hire someone to do that,
Mhm.
once I'm able to in X amount of months. So yeah, there's a lot of different add-ons for where we know we can go with the accounting firms. So
Yeah, and what do you think? So, I mean, I don't know if I told you, but I came from the financial services space before this. I did insurance, I did securities. They all talk about doing like adding like the accounting and the estates and the investment management all under one roof, but so few of them are able to actually execute on it. What do you think that is, and why do you think you guys could do it differently?
when you say one roof, you mean under just like the same exact.
Like holding company or like sister? Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't think you could do it under the same company. They got to be separate companies, and probably
Hmm.
definitely separate entities, but probably separate brands as
Hmm.
well. You don't really want to intertwine all of that. Um, y- you know, I think if you find a way when you do centralize stuff that the problem I see is this, right? The problem I see with like big PE is they buy companies and they run them all separate. They let the owners just continue to run their company the way they were, because their job is to just go acquire more, right? They kind
Yeah.
of leave the owner alone. This owner never even talks to another company they just acquired, or another. They don't even they barely even know they acquired another company, or they really don't ever talk to each other. Where it's like, if you could find a way to get all of your partners, all of your companies, and all of your employees to really talk to each other, work together, and actually
Hmm.
pass business back and forth, I think it could work. I have that problem right now in my accounting firms. Between the few accounting firms we have,
Hmm.
we still struggle sometimes with them not reaching out to each other enough. Where it's like, hey, you might not be able to solve this problem, but guess what? The firm in Virginia can solve it. Why don't you call them and let them help you? Right? Because we all just want to do things ourselves and not get help. So I think if my personal wise, we have to find a way to do that better. But I've also noticed with PE, and when I was in PE, where when I had my company, it was like no one really truly works together. And I think that's the
Hmm.
biggest problem. They say be nice and we should, and yeah, we do, but in general, no, they no one really does. So I think that might be the issue more, because it's like what you talk about grows, Forrest, right? And it's never really talked about. It's never
Hmm.
like, everyone needs to be working together. Everyone needs to be working together. That's not talked about enough. And so I
Yeah.
think that's probably the biggest issue, honestly.
Do you think that's like a breakdown of incentive structures, or like, because like if they all own, say for instance, they all own like a piece of it, they're going to work together because they want to see the whole ship rise. But if they don't, they're just in their individual silos. They're like, well, I'm just going to keep doing my thing. What do you think the breakdown is?
I don't think that is the breakdown. It's funny because when people feel like they're part of a team and they're part of a bigger goal, even if they're not getting this incentive right away, they want to be. We all want to be as human beings part of something that's winning, something that's growing, something that's doing good. I think it's more just
Yeah,
communication, to be dead honest. I
bigger.
just don't think
Mhm.
it's talked about. From my personal
Mm.
experience, it's not what you talk about and continue to talk
Mhm.
about and continue to talk about and push and push and push will grow. And it's just not done. And I can even just opening my eyes right now talking about this is in my firms, I don't talk about it enough. Be dead honest with you. Thinking about like what we're talking about right now, I'm
Mm.
going, I'm not doing this
Yeah.
enough personally in my own firms. And I'm telling you this, but I'm not doing it. Right. So I'm going to go back and start doing it more. So I appreciate us talking about this because it's definitely going to help me. Um, but I really think
Yeah,
that's the key because
for
if
sure. Yeah. So you think it's cultural then?
I think it's cultural. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I think it's cultural.
Well, and like you said, a lot of times they let them just operate under separate brands, separate units. So like they probably don't see themselves as part of a bigger collective, right? Like they're just doing their own thing. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, how do you facilitate those? And I don't know, like maybe do they do like offsites, or like, like I'm just imagining a big PE firm with a bunch of owners that they take them all and connect them together. People probably don't do that often.
No, I mean some do, but I think it's even more than that. It's got to be day to day.
Hmm.
Like when you're building teams, you're using communication tools, whether Slack or whatever these communication tools might be. It's constant day to day hustle bustle,
Yeah.
excitement, and I think if you're able to do that more, it could work. And I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe I'm sure some people have done it amazingly.
Yeah. Well, you look at someone like YC, right? Like Combinator, like they've done it well. They all work together. They all know each other. They work together. They get together. Like, and you see just so much success coming out of that organization. I feel like that'd be a good. Mhm.
Well, that's probably why there's so much success is because you got all
Yeah.
these great people and all these different minds
Yeah. It's like a
working together
club,
and for the same goal.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I
Very
think
cool.
that's
Yeah.
one of the challenges with
Yeah.
bringing all these entrepreneurs in together. Everyone's kind of a cowboy in the sense that they didn't want to have a traditional job, and now they're coming under one umbrella of this is where we're trying to go. So
Mhm.
I think culture is a hard thing there. Whereas Y Combinator, I think they're being an incubator, everyone's kind of on their own mission, but under they have the guidance of Y Combinator. So there's some similarities, but
Mhm.
it's definitely a challenge. What do you do there with Nick, with the agencies or the accounting firms that you're buying? How do you try and, I guess, centralize culture and centralize the vision with these entrepreneurs that you've previously bought the companies from?
So we're still trying to figure that out, right? Because when it comes to the actual that we're buying the company from, the sellers, they're not really involved. They're not involved in the day to day ops. They're really more involved on a higher level. Us trying to coach us to make sure we really understand the business. We keep them on for 1 year. That's our thing. You stay with us for 1 year as a
Mhm.
consultant. You're not in the
Mhm.
business. You're not working. You're not doing returns. You're not doing. We don't necessarily want that. We want the employees. We're buying these companies so that the employees and staff that are already there can now understand this is their business. We want them to take care of it. We want them to grow it. We're going to incentivize them. We have monthly bonus programs. So they hit goals. They're getting money, extra money
Mhm.
every single month on a monthly basis. So we are incentivizing them in that way. And then obviously if we have to bring in another CPA, manager, EA, whatever we will. But what are we doing on a day-to-day basis? Not enough. I'm going to be honest with you, Jaron. We're not doing enough right now. We need to be doing more. But what we do try to do is we have all of our KPIs except for the financials no one needs to see. All of our KPIs are shared. So when we get all of our KPIs on a daily basis, we have to have them by 11 a.m. One person's doing them, a centralized person is doing them, and but that once they're done from the day before, they're on broken down on a daily basis and also on a monthly basis. And then they're also broken down whatever this month is compared to this month last year. And it's sent out to the
Mhm.
whole organization. So every single person can see what each office is doing. So they're actually competing with each other a little bit. and they're also seeing good and bad. So everyone's seeing we're being super transparent, numbers with what's going on, good, bad, and different. So everyone can find a way to work together and actually be for the common goal and hit everyone and hit all the goals that we need to be hit. So that's what we're doing right now. We could probably do a better job on the personal side as far as getting them personally intertwined better.
Yeah, interesting. And how have you found that once you've kind of made that transparent with the production or performance of kind of the companies since you took over? Has that kind of boosted everything?
Dude, I'll be honest with you, they love it because you got to understand they
Hmm.
never seen it before. Because 99% of owners, including myself, prior to doing this, and the reason we do this is because of the partner I'm with. He's extremely successful. He's a multi-billionaire. He's one of my best friends. He's ran a boatload of companies, right? What he does, and so he really taught me this. I didn't do this prior, and what I've noticed is the staffs are they're thankful. They want to see. They look at it every day. They look at their goals. They look at where they're at. Are they behind? Are they ahead? What do they need to do? Or what are the other offices doing? And for them, it's like they start to understand that you're not just getting a paycheck. Money doesn't just all of a sudden show up. Money has to come in order for you to get paid, right? Because a lot of employees just clock in and clock out and think, I'll get paid, problem. No, but if ain't no money coming in, no one's got a job. So it gives them like a really big sense of
Hmm.
responsibility and understanding of the business. And so far, from what I've seen, dude, they're super thankful and they like it. They
Hmm.
enjoy it. They look forward to getting that report, as do I, every morning.
That's cool. Yeah, I feel like most people just they want to know where they stand, right? They want to know even just to compare like versus peers or like the people want to know where they stand. I think.
I agree, 100%.
Mm.
Agree,
And
100%.
I love hearing that from kind of your mentor. I mean, I listen to a lot of guys like, Adam Coffey and Rick Sapio who talk about, really building the culture where people want to work and building the incentivization for them, which goes a long way. And it's cool you're experiencing that firsthand with, your mentor bringing that into the culture of the company
Yeah.
where you hadn't done that before. And now you're seeing the fruit of it.
Yeah, yeah, dude. It pays dividends when people actually feel part of something bigger than them, and this is a simple way for them to
Yeah.
do that, just by numbers, And do we share every single number with them? No, but we share enough. We share a lot. They can back things out if they really
Mhm.
wanted to.
Yeah, as much as they need to, right? Yeah. That kind of dovetails into a question that I had for you, because I hope to, one day get to in the same ballpark as you. But I'm curious. You have a lot of stuff going on, dude, and like, how do you keep track of it all? And it sounds like you have some good partners you work with, but like, how do you stay on top of all this stuff?
That's a super good question, and I get that question a lot. I wasn't so. I'll go like this. You have that saying, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. Right? There was a point in my life where I think that was me. I was doing a bunch of shit, and everything was working a little bit, but nothing was working a lot. And when I really focused, things blew up. Right? So now I'm at a point where I kind of can do that. I have more people around me. I have the
Mhm.
right people around me. I have more systems in place. But everything I'm doing is also very horizontal, right? They're not like I'm not doing like 20 different things that are completely separate of each other.
Mhm.
Everything's almost very much in the same space, right? I also took a
Okay.
deal. I also did a consulting for equity deal that I own part of a business brokerage. So I
Mm.
get so much deal flow for us that what am I going to do with it all? Well, I might as well give it to the business
Yeah.
brokerage, let them sell it, and also profit. Everyone wins. They win. I win. The broker wins. The company wins that's selling their company. So it's all very intertwined with each other, right? And
Mhm.
I think that's why it works for me. I think I'm pretty good at doing a lot of different things at once, but again, they're all very much in the same bucket. I don't have all these different buckets I'm
Yeah.
working in. I'm just spreading myself out in the same bucket. So I think that's why it's working and it continues to. And to me, dude, a little bit of a lot equals a lot. So even if it's
Right.
just a little bit from each sector, and eventually a couple of them are going to pop even bigger, it works. And I'm learning how to intertwine them all together at the same time as well.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that's why it's working. Why it works. Why it
Yeah,
works.
yeah, I think so. So, I mean, that's something I've been trying to do because I have a couple different silos that I'm working on, and I found that the only way I can really make it work is if I do the same things for all of them.
Right.
So for me, it's not really any different. It's almost like having clients in an agency where you do the same things for all your clients, but it's the same couple actions anyway. Like
Yeah.
it's the same function. So it doesn't really, it's not like you have to do 20 different functions. It's
Right.
like 4 functions for 20 different things.
Right. Right. And it's also getting the right people around you, hiring the right
Mhm.
people, having assistants, having people to help you take things off your plate.
Mhm.
And the way that I really monitor myself is I look at how much time I'm spending with my kids.
Interesting.
Right. And I see how much I'm able to spend, how much time I'm able to spend with my kids.
Mhm.
And I know that, hey, I can take something else on, or hey, I can't take anything else on anymore. Because now I'm at a point where I
Interesting.
want to spend as much time as I can with them as they're growing up. Where when they were
Yeah.
little, I barely even saw them because I was just grinding 24/7. Right now, I'm at a
Right.
point where I can back out a little and have people do more things, not for me, but under my guidance in a way, I guess you could say. And
Mhm.
it frees me up completely. So that's how I monitor it now. I go, how much time am I spending with Nico and Angelina and my wife? And is it
Mhm.
not enough? I got to back out, or I got to hire someone to do some stuff for me, or I'm spending a lot. I can take on something else possibly.
So it's like a new KPI almost, just
Yeah.
based off of
Yeah,
that.
it is.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, like a
that's
guiding KPI, right?
yeah. I never thought of it like that, but yeah.
Hmm. That's badass. Okay, so then you use that, and then what's like the typical day look like for you? Then do you have like a lot of scheduled out meetings, or do you like time block, or like what do you do to make sure you can give everything attention?
Yeah, so it's a little different. It changes a little bit. So, ideally I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm on the computer answering emails, doing some other stuff. I'm in the middle of writing 2 books right
Hmm.
now, so I'll try to write some
Wow.
stuff at that time. Um, my kids get up around 7. I help them get dressed, make their lunch boxes, take them to school. I take them to school every day,
Hmm.
with my wife, and then I go to the gym after that. It used to be I would wake up and go straight to the gym, so that's changed. And there's also some days, I'm not gonna lie to you, man, I'm not up at 4:30. I just don't do it, and I'm up at 7 with my kids. So
Hmm.
luckily I have that flexibility right now in my life. I haven't always had that flexibility in my life, and I've made sure I was up at 4:30 no matter what, 7 days a week for shit, I don't know, 5, 6
Yeah.
years. I put that in because there's something so powerful about waking up that early,
Hmm.
knowing no one else is up. You get so much shit done. It's wild, right? And so I
Hmm.
did that for so long, and then I'm at the gym, and then from there I'm taking meetings all day. Honestly, I have a boatload of meetings. I'll come back. I'll make sure I'm working on the firms. Make sure I do whatever I need to do for the firms. The good thing is I don't have to do a lot because we have such great staff that they're already running the
Yeah.
firms. I don't have to micromanage too much. Certain times I do. If things aren't going right, I got to step in. I'll go to all my companies at least once a month. I'll travel and go at least once a month, show face for the day, talk to everyone, take them to dinner, take them to lunch, do things like that. Um, but yeah, I'm just scheduling meetings, and I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone a lot. I'm on meetings a lot. I've been on the golf course a lot more, which I'm liking and hoping I can do more of. I'm trying to figure out how to do
Yeah.
more deals on the golf course. I haven't got there yet, but I'm working on it.
I was curious how that's played into your business dealings. If that's been a huge asset, or if you just crush people when they get mad at you.
you know, I was talking to my wife the other day about this, dude, and I haven't done a good job at intertwining golf and business. And I don't know why. You would think like with my background that would be it just makes sense, right? I haven't manifested that for some reason. And I told her like 2 weeks ago, I go, I'm gonna start manifesting this. I'm gonna start playing so much golf, but it's all gonna be business, and I'm gonna start doing business on the damn golf course. Like I just haven't done that. So
Do you think it's just like it's too like it's personal? It's like too much of like a just for you kind of thing.
you know what? Probably, dude, and because that's how it was my whole life. So
Yeah.
like when I stopped playing golf professionally, I actually cold turkeyed it completely. I didn't
Hmm.
pick a club up for over 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I just went to work, and so I don't know, maybe 2 years ago now, my financial advisor called me. He's in Atlanta, and he said, "Hey, I'm taking you out of retirement. We are playing Floridian and Medalist, which are like two like the
Yeah.
best golf courses in the country, especially in Florida." I was like, I don't know. He's like, dude, just freaking come. We're gonna have fun and we're gonna drink. I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. So I went. I had no idea what to expect. I had a freaking blast, right? I
Yeah.
didn't care about how I played, and I played pretty well, but I didn't care. I just had fun, and so I got hooked on playing again. But maybe
Mm.
it is too personal, but I do need to figure out. I'm trying to figure out. I'm playing tomorrow. I'm trying to figure out how to make it to where I can not only have fun doing it, but I can do business with it too. So pray for me, dude. I'm
Mhm.
I'm I'm I'm, I'm manifesting it to figure that out, dude. I'll let you know how it goes.
I have a feeling you'll figure it out.
Sounds like a fun one to figure out anyway.
Right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, you just
Yeah.
spoke a few times about
You
manifesting. I'd love to get into a little bit of the kind of the forecasting or the visualization that you do
Yeah.
to, because you're doing some pretty big things and you've got some pretty ambitious goals. And, tell us a little bit about kind of how you prepare your mind for that, and kind of, do you visualize those things? Like, how does that work
Dude,
on
that's
your
such a
side?
good
Or
question. I appreciate you asking me. Actually, one of the books I'm writing right now is all about that. It's about fear. It's
mm,
about visualization, procrastination, manifestation, all that, right? In not only the business world, but in life, relationships, and I'm just trying. I started writing it for me, um, because I've always done that. Like, you look at golf, right? You look at golfers, you look at sports players, look at basketball players. They're visualizing, right, all the time.
mm,
And what I learned early on, Jaron, is that your mind works in pictures. If you sit here and say to yourself, dude, don't forget your keys when you walk out the door. If you say that to yourself right now, what your subconscious does is put a picture of you forgetting your keys. And most of the time, you're going to forget your keys because that's what you already told your mind to do that. But if you say, Jaron, hey, remember to grab your keys when you leave, what happens is your mind just put a picture now of you grabbing your keys without even realizing it. And 99% of the time, you're going to remember your keys, right? So when you realize your mind works in pictures, visualization becomes easy, because then what happens is we're actually, as human beings, all day long we're visualizing something, good or bad. The problem is most of the time we're visualizing negative stuff because that's how we are as human beings, and we don't even realize it. We
mhm.
all do it, right? So now it's understanding
Yeah.
how to catch yourself and then catch yourself faster. And the more you do it and replace it with a positive thought and positive manifestation or visualization, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes, right? So I'm just trying to get better at it every day. I'm not perfect at it by any means. I'm actually pretty terrible in my opinion, and I'm just trying to get better. And so I do a lot of that. I do a lot of praying. I write down my goals every day. That's a big one. It's cheesy. It sounds cheesy, but it's the most powerful thing I think you can do if you know how to write goals and you write them down properly.
Mm.
I used to write them on a notepad every day. Now I just write them on the notes section on my phone. So if I ever showed you my phone, it's just like I can scroll for days of my goals. So
Mhm. How many do you do at a time?
it changes, dude. I would say I let them show up, right? So I would say there's
Mm.
probably 12 to 13 that are there consistently no matter what. Some of them are just life goals, faith
Okay.
goals, family goals. Other of them are business goals. I have others that show up randomly. 5 to 7 years ago, dude, I had one that showed up as like, I'm gonna own 700 apartment units. Dude, I wasn't in real estate. I had no idea how the fuck that was gonna happen. It just what kept showing
Mhm.
up. And now here I am, X amount of
Mhm.
years later, I own probably about 250 units, but I'm now raising a fund of $350 million that's going to get us a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Because my partners have over 5,000 units that they own, and we're liquidating some of that and buying more. So it's powerful, right? And problem is, people will do it for a day, for a week, for a month, but they won't do it for a year. They won't do it for 2 years. I found
Mhm.
myself doing that, dude. I'll do it for years, and
Right.
then all of a sudden I'll stop 5 months, and I'm like, "Fuck, yo, I gotta get back on this," right? Um, I think it's the most. It sounds cheesy
Mhm.
sometimes, but I think, Jaron, to your point, visualization, all that stuff is the most powerful thing you can do. Um, Training your mind is the most powerful thing you can do. I really do believe you create your own world. You create your own destiny. What you think becomes your reality, good and bad. I mean, you guys have seen it, I'm sure. But I'm a big, big, big proponent of it. And now what I'm trying to do is teach my kids that, which,
Mm.
we do, me, my kids, and my wife, every day before school, we do affirmations on the way to school. Our drive's about 15 minutes. So the last like 5 minutes, we do affirmation. I would say the first year, me and my wife were always doing the affirmation. And now what's cool is I'll go, all right, guys, affirmation time. Who's doing them? And one day my daughter will do them. She's just about to be 7. The next day my 5-year-old son will start doing them. And so now I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere. So it's pretty neat to watch.
No, very very cool. I've been reading Homeless
That's
for
really
Billionaire.
cool.
I think it's Andreas Pera, who basically
Okay.
he's this property tycoon, a European guy that moved to Thailand, ran out of money, slept on the beach for a while, started visualizing like I'm going to have a cup of coffee. Got the coffee, he's like this works, and now he's got into real estate. Now he's a giant developer down there. But it's very interesting. So I've been visualizing a lot more. So I love the insight and goals. I love goals. So I've been nerding out in goal setting for the last couple of years as well.
Good, man. Yeah, don't stop. Don't stop. And the visualization, you just gotta,
Mhm.
really learn that to catch yourself. Again, your mind works in pictures. So it's gonna take whatever you're telling it, whatever your subconscious is saying, that picture is gonna become a reality, good or bad. That's what people don't realize. It's not just the good, it's the bad too. I've caught myself many
Mhm.
times visualizing negative things over an extended period of time and then that thing coming to light. And that's my fault. There's no one to blame but me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, and so, but it works both
Right.
ways. So, yeah, man, that's awesome. I love it.
Talk to me a little bit about that visualization. I'm curious. Is it something where you're just sitting there, almost like meditating, and you're just going through the visualization in like greater and greater detail, or going over and over again? Like, what does that process actually look like?
I think it's different for everyone.
Okay.
Like I know people that, like you said, they'll meditate and I haven't done that.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying it won't work for me. I just personally haven't done that.
Yeah.
For me in the morning, it's big. It's a lot of praying. It's when I'm praying, I'm visualizing a lot, obviously. But it's really all day throughout the day. It's all day. We have so many
Okay.
thoughts throughout our day, right? It's being cognitive of your
Hmm.
thoughts, which is super hard because we have, I don't know, something like
Hmm.
80,000 thoughts a day. I don't know, something stupid.
Yeah,
I don't know what
it's
the number is, but it's
ridiculous.
a lot,
Hmm.
right? And so you're not going to catch them all and you're not going to know about all of them. But when you start to think about your thoughts on a daily basis, you get better at catching them faster and being able to switch them.
Hmm.
So for me, it's an all day thing. I'm always visualizing what I want in my life. And then I will catch myself visualizing what I don't want. I'm a human being like anyone else. And I have to learn, and I'm trying to learn to get better at flipping that faster and turning that around so that I visualize what I do want. That's why I started writing this book. I was like, I'm going to do it to help me, and then hopefully it'll help someone else.
Hmm.
Which I think it will. Hope even if it helps one person, I'm good with that.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
So then you're just kind of like painting a picture in your mind in that like little brief moment.
Yeah, dude. I mean, sometimes it's extensive. Sometimes it might be a long, it might be a quick thing that I'm changing or flipping or painting
Hmm.
in the picture of. It might be a longer, more, full picture, longer period. Might be a year or two down the road. It might be tomorrow. It
Hmm.
might be later today. It doesn't matter. I'm always, again, I can't say enough. Your mind, people don't realize your mind just works in pictures,
Yeah.
not words, pictures. When you can understand that and you start to go, I'm thinking this, and holy shit, my mind is picturing this right now, then you can start to flip that into a positive
Right.
thing more often.
Yeah, and just in avoiding the negative piece.
Yeah. Yeah, you're never going to avoid it, I don't think. I think that's not humanly possible. I just think that the people that are successful in certain areas,
Yeah.
they avoid it more often.
Okay, so just like a ratio kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, we're human. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like we're bred to be negative. It's weird, right? It's like
Survival. Survival. Yeah.
it's survival, 100%. That's exactly what it is.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like our
Mm.
primal instinct.
Yeah, another part of it, Nick, as you said before, kind of what you talk about will grow. It's the same thing when you're picturing and visualizing something, like your mind starts focusing on that, even subconsciously. So then you can really, like, one of the things I've been visualization is the amount of acquisitions that we're going to accomplish this year. So just visualizing that, just ideas are coming a lot more on how to hit those targets. I'm sure you can attest to that as well.
Dude, I can attest to that. Like, you have no idea. I mean, like when I sold my last two companies, I would write down, one of my goals for years was, I'm selling the company name, I'm selling to private equity or taking public. That was a goal that I wrote down probably for years, 3 to 4 years before it happened. And then all of a sudden it happened. I used to say that, me and my wife lived in a really nice home, but there was just certain things we didn't like about it, especially her. And then we moved, and one of my goals was we live in a home that we enjoy. And years later, I live in an amazing house that we really never want to move from if we don't have to. I know it sounds crazy, and it's but it's when you see it come true in your life, it's like,
Mhm.
holy shit, that's nuts.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, I want to be respectful for your time. I know we're coming up to the top of your hour. If people watch this and they want to get in contact with you, maybe about acquisitions or Deal Connect or one of the other many things you do today, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Hit me up on Instagram, man. I'm most active on Instagram.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm on most of the platforms, but I really don't go on any of them except for probably Instagram the most.
Mhm.
So it's at Nick NICK J and then my last name Ayala AYALA. And so hit me up on there, DM me, whatever. I'm on it enough where I'll get back to you most of the time. So
Cool. Awesome, dude. Yeah. Well, thanks again so much for coming on. I know, like I said, you got a lot going on, so we appreciate you carving out an hour or so to chat with us. This has been awesome.
Thanks, bud. Yeah, we'll have to have you on again to hear how everything plays out for the next year or two.
yeah, that'd be fun. We can go back and
Mhm.
take a look. Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be good.
Yeah. We'll write our goals down and see which ones we hit.
There's gonna be a lot of them. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, man.